Hi everyone, it's really nice to see you all and meet you. Thanks so much for coming today. I have to say I'm sorry that I'm not going to have all the answers about training contracts and how to get them, because it can look very different for each of us. So I'll give it my best shot at answering any of the questions today, but sorry to disappoint if there's no gold star answer. So I have always had a long standing interest in this broad thing called social justice, and right from an early age that's always been something that I've been passionate about. And I was trying to think, where did that start and where did that kind of originate in my life? And I was thinking that when I was growing up I had a pen pal type thing with a girl who lived in Bolivia, and we wrote to each other from the age when I was 7 until about 18. And the opportunities that I had presented to me in comparison to what she had presented to her, despite having the same ambitions, the same desire for education and to make a life for ourselves and to use our time for something good, actually our opportunities were so different. And so from an early age, it was just clear to me that there's inequality in life, and that I wanted to work and use my time and my voice to make a difference in the most cliche way. So with that in mind, I spent a lot of my time as a student and growing up volunteering with different charities, a few short-term trips over abroad working on in a shelter for women who'd been subject to FGM, in doing some different HIV treatment abroad as well, and well, education, and then worked with other organisations, which really all just helped to broaden my understanding of the vast amount of injustice that groups and individuals face through no fault of their own. And despite kind of this upbringing and these thoughts, it took me quite a long time to realise that law was the right degree to study. On reflection, it seems obvious that law would be the best degree to do if you want to empower those who need empowering and those who are in power to hold them to account. But it took me quite a long time to join the dots on that. So I went to Exeter University to study law. I did straight law, and graduated in 2014, which feels like quite a long time ago now, where my friends and I are actually planning our 10-year anniversary get together for when we all first met next year, which feels bizarre, but there you go. And then after studying my law degree, I worked at various charities. So I worked at a charity called Advocates for International Development, and they partner law firms and charities who are working on their sustainable development goals together. And they were a great organisation for me to work with and to learn from, and because they really work in the field of law, but doing something really positive with law. And my experience had been, that was just really great to see law in practice, and people putting their skills to use. And then I thought, okay, I need to get some legal experience in a law firm, but I really wanted to do things that were to do with social justice, but I wasn't really getting those opportunities. So I went to work at a law firm called Morrison Solicitors, and I worked there in their commercial dispute resolution team, which was almost the opposite of what I was interested in doing. I was in their debt collection team, which was probably as far as you could go from where I wanted to be. I was literally sending letters to individuals who were struggling to pay their water bills, telling them that if they didn't, there would be trouble. So I wasn't proud of what I was doing, although people have to pay their bills, but it didn't marry up with where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do. Having said that, and maybe we can speak about this later, there's so much to be gained from working in an area of law that maybe isn't where you see yourself. And I learned an immense deal through that experience. And then after a year working in the commercial dispute resolution team, I then went to work at Lead in their personal injury department. And I was there for 2.5, nearly 3 years. And then during that time, I applied for the training contract several times. And again, maybe that's something we can speak about later as well. And then I did my LPC. I did the fast track LPC at the University of Law, the 6-month option. So if you have any questions about fast track or part-time, we can also talk about that. And then I started my training contract in Jill's team last year, which was a wonderful year. And I've just finished that. And so that was in the consumer law and product safety team, for anyone that missed where Jill works. And that team, we kind of worked on a whole range of issues we worked on quite intently on an inquest for 6 months through a girl who very sadly died from anaphylaxis. And also on a whole range of defects with products ranging from bikes to gas cookers to washing machines. Yeah, it was a really broad experience. And it's definitely made me think twice about the white goods I buy going forward, among many other things. And then now I've just started, I'm 2.5 weeks in with the Human Rights Department, and then I'm working on data protection law, primarily together with some prison law and judicial review, but only 2.5 weeks in. So I suppose I'll find out more as the weeks and months go on. So that's me. That's kind of whistle-stop tour of my career to date, I suppose.
So that's really interesting, Charlie, and I think it's probably reassuring to people who are starting out that it's not, that you can still get there even if it's via a windy route. How did you get your volunteering jobs or your charity work?
So different ones through different means, I suppose. Sometimes I literally just emailed them and offered to do volunteering with them, and then to see if that could develop into some kind of more formal arrangement with an internship. The intern I did at Advocates for International Development, they were a charity I was aware of, so there was, they had formal applications that you had to complete in a normal interview process. But sadly, a lot of the internships that I did and a lot of the volunteering is obviously unpaid bar your expenses. So I was fortunate in the sense that I had parents that I could live with and commute into London. And I appreciate that for most people, that's not an option. And, I was very grateful for that, but it does make it almost exclusive in some ways, charities offering internships and volunteering experience that helped me to get to where I was. But that's not available for everyone. But it's still definitely, if you're struggling to get work experience in a law firm, but you're interested in a particular area, there are other ways that you can get valuable experience, not in a law firm. That could be an organisation or a charity or policy, something like that, that there's another angle in if it's not a formal work experience through a law firm.
Mm-hmm. And so, for example, if you wanted to do something that was injury related, like medical negligence or personal injury, you could maybe do an administrator job in a hospital or that sort of thing. So it's thinking outside the box, isn't it? Yeah. So how did you how did you kind of work out you wanted to do a law degree? Did you have any legal connections at all at any point?
I didn't have any legal connections. I'd not done any back schemes or any work experience in a law firm, and as I kind of alluded to earlier, my interest had been really working with charities and in social justice things, and I didn't really think our law firms that were out there that offered training contracts did work that felt would align with who I was and what I wanted to do. So I didn't do any proper legal work experience before, and actually at first I applied to study geography at university because I thought I'd do human geography, and I thought that would be a good way to get involved with international development. And then I realised in geography that I was never really the person that was sticking up my hand to answer the questions. So I thought maybe I'm not very passionate about this. So yeah, law then kind of made sense as a way to be equipped. I think that's how I viewed my law degree, as being equipped with the necessary tools to then go on to hopefully start to make a difference. And I still feel like I'm on that journey of being equipped and getting tools now. So yeah.
That journey's a lifelong, career-long thing, I think. We never achieve it all or know it all. And when you kind of picked training contracts to apply for, were you applying to places other than Lead Day at the time?
Yeah, so I applied for other places other than Lead Day, but I still kept it within a kind of realm of firms that did work that I was interested in. It's important to be broad, but also I think if you know that there's a particular area that you may be interested in, then that's also really good to try and hone in on who are the firms that are leading in that area, and to then try and focus your applications on those firms. There's no point being trigger happy with everything if you think you have an area you're interested in. So because I was quite clear that I wanted to do work that was quite claimant focused, working on behalf of individuals or groups who had potentially been wronged in some way, there are not loads and loads of law firms that practice in this type of work, and within those there aren't loads that offer training contracts. So that made my job easier, but if I'm honest, as soon as I came across Lead Day, it was very clear to me that they were where I wanted to train, and that I would be focused on getting a training contract with Lead Day. So I didn't put all my eggs in one basket completely, but I did really commit to trying to get a training contract at Lead Day. So to put that in some context, I applied to Lead Day 4 years in a row. I applied 2 years as an external applicant, and then I applied 2 years as an internal applicant. And it was fourth time lucky, which is not a phrase, but I think it's important to say, because it can be very easy for people and for us to assume that everyone graduates and is straight into a training contract and is qualified really quickly and it's been a smooth journey. But it wasn't a smooth journey for me, and there are many years where I thought, oh, is this the right fit, right decision to hold out to do something that I care about? And for instance, one of my good friends at university, she studied history and had no intention of going into law. After university, she then did a year in just a normal job, just an admin role, and then she did her GDL, she did her LPC. She's now qualified and doing extremely well, both in her career and also in her pay. And she's working at a big American law firm, and she has just gone whoosh like this. And for a long time, I was just kind of chugging along, seemingly not really progressing. And it can be very easy then to look around at other people and think, oh, maybe I've made the wrong decision, or maybe I'm doing something wrong. But it just took longer, and it just takes longer for some of us. It took longer for me, and that's fine, because I'm where I want to be now. So yeah, I think if you have an idea of what you want to do and you're quite sure on that, then don't lose heart when other people around you seemingly succeed in things that actually you don't want to succeed in, because there's no point. That's great for them. I'm proud of my friend and I'm happy for her, but it wouldn't be the right path for me to take. But it just took a bit longer.
So that's kind of useful hindsight. That's like really helpful to see it backwards. But how did you keep going when you were getting rejected?
Wine and crying and Ben and Jerry's. No, how did I keep going? I think one thing is to try and stop justifying my decisions to other people. No one really seems to understand why you would wait to train somewhere where you could potentially train somewhere else. And I think trying to justify our life choices to other people is a very tiring thing when they may or may not understand, or they may have comments on whether we're making the right decision or not. And so that'd be one thing. And another thing is just to keep sight. I think I just tried to keep sight of the bigger picture. Whilst taking 5 years out of uni to get a training contract is a long time, in the scheme of things, I think I was remembering, if I'm going to work till I mean, the number keeps going up, doesn't it? What are we working to now? 75?
70 at the minute. I think
Yeah.
70. Yeah.
70, okay. Only 70. So if I'm working till 70, I do remember thinking this, if I don't qualify until I'm 30 or older, 35, however old, it doesn't really matter. If it takes me longer, what difference does that make when I have a whole career ahead of me? I have so many years ahead of me, and better to take the time to end up somewhere that I want and somewhere that aligns with myself, rather than rushing to get qualified to satisfy other people's expectations, rather than just sticking to your guns and digging your heels in and eating a lot of ice cream when it's required.
One thing I can certainly say, from as having been your boss, is that all of that stuff that you learned before you came to me was really valuable stuff, and it's not necessarily always stuff that you've learned on the legal. Whoop, my computer's gone off. The legal job that you that makes you a good trainee. Often a lot of it is things that you've learned in life, your ability to present yourself, to get on with others, to learn from your mistakes, all sorts of things. So it doesn't necessarily have to be in a legal context that you can learn all of those life skills. And I was really lucky with Charlie that I had so much that other people had already taught her, and that she'd already taught herself before she came to me. So don't give up hope if you can't get legal jobs straight away.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Jill. It's also good to kind of I found this, my first job in a law firm, I just made loads of mistakes, basic things that, without having experience before, it can be very easy to do, and we all do it. And I don't mean, it'd be things just not proof checking work, or not redating letters, and not having enclosures all together before you want your boss to sign them off, things like that, you only really learn as soon as you start to do. And they're all small things, but if you do them well, then they can make your boss's life a lot easier. And if you do them badly, then that can get a little bit annoying after time. And we all do it now and then. Of course, we're human, but it was good to work in a law firm for a year to just get those early mistakes ironed out and have my first telling off and feel bad and overcome that before getting to a firm where I really wanted to be for the long run.
Which is really important, because the impression that you make in the first sort of 3 or 4 weeks can make a real difference. I mean, obviously you are learning and being assessed all the way through, but you know, it'd be awful if your first couple of weeks in the job were in your, you know, in your forever job was to do with typos or not proofreading something or anything like that. I know that's one of Sally's bugbears as well, is people, you know, you need to help yourself as much as you can. Which goes for applications as well, because it makes me really think twice about someone if there's mistakes in their application in a world where it matters so much as law.